YARR! Hello mateys, how's it going? This is Captain Blue here over at CG Pirates. I hope you are well. I hope you're doing fantastically. If you're not, have a big old hug from Captain Blue and the CG Pirates team. Okay, now we have already shown you how to do the fundamentals. If you don't know the fundamentals of 3D, just quickly go over to the Wednesday shorties on cgpirates.com and grab the fundamentals of 3D course. It will take you 6 minutes and we'll show you literally the very basics of how to get started. And when you are started, I'm going to show you how to do something cool. So, I want to make a rowing boat. Now, the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to click this little plus sign just to make sure that I've got all my tools here for creating stuff. I'm going to go here where these cogwheels are. Okay, and that gives me these 5 things that people rarely use when they're modelling, but biped's quite useful. And I'm going to click this and drag it until its height is 180. Now you see there it says 65, so I'm just going to change that to 180. There we go. And why am I doing that? Because that is round about the average height of a person. Okay, and I'm going to move him over there. Why do I want him there? So that I can work out how big a rowing boat should be without having to worry, okay, that I've made it too small or too large. If it looks right in size to him, then it's going to be correct. Okay, let's go to our basics. And here is a box. Okay, and I'm just going to drag it out like this. Okay, quite a long rowing boat, I think you'll agree. And I'm going to drag it up like that. Okay, now that is all we need to get started on our rowing boat. Exciting, isn't it? So I'm going to right click, convert to editable poly, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to press G, and that will get rid of this grid. If you don't care, don't bother, you know, keep the grid there by all means, but I'm getting rid of mine. Okay, what I'm going to do next is I'm going to use my Swift Loop tool. Okay, so I'll just click on it there. If you can't see the Swift Loop tool, it could be that this is all hiding from you. Okay, so just click this little button here. You're like, Chris, you're showing us you're showing us more fundamentals. No, I'm just showing you what you need to know at the time. Fundamentals was making the boxes. Okay, so it's Swift Loop, and I'm going to make a loop there, and there, and there. Okay, why am I doing that? Well, I want to make the basic shape of a boat. So I'm going to grab these 4, and did you see I just Marquee grabbed them? And I'm going to move them up like that. And then at the back here, I'm going to Marquee grab these and move them up like that. Now, I'm sure you'll agree that's a fine looking boat by any standard, but it's not really what we're looking for, is it? No, that's okay. We're going to do some adjusting to it now, right? So for example, the back needs to have a much more shallow slope. So I'll just move that over to there. And you see it's kind of starting to get there. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to my Swift Loop, just click in here, and then if I right click out, once I've done it, I can start to move things about, and I'm going to get that in there a bit. Now, what you may have noticed, okay, if you're very eagle-eyed, is that if I zoom in on here, these angles aren't great, okay? What we want is this angle to kind of follow the shape of the ship or boat. So I'm going to go into my rotate tool. Remember fundamentals, it's the letter E, and I'm just going to move it like that. And I've just turned off angle snap as well. Okay, now if I grab these 4, I can move them all the way until they're like that. Okay, I'll put angle snap back on again. There you go, 90 degrees. Why have I done that? Because it's a much smoother shape, I think you'll agree. And then if I just grab these and press W for my move tool, I can bring those over to there like that. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to use my Marquee tool again and just click and drag here, but I'm also going to click and drag at the top just for these 2, and I'm going to move these back. And you'll notice that these are starting to all come together and look a bit like the right kind of shape for our boat. Okay, now I'm going to hit the L key, and what that'll do is move me into left viewport. Now, because I'm left-handed, for some reason I always create things in the wrong port. So left is actually the front here, and F for front is the side view. Go figure. But you can see that the back comes along this line here, and so this one here needs to as well. I'll just move it up, and by doing that I know that it's all kind of going along the right lines. Okay, now then, it's actually a little bit high for a rowing boat, so I'm going to select this one as well, and all I did for that was I had this selected by Marquee, pressed Control and Marquee selected here. I'm just going to bring it down a little bit, and because I've done that I'm going to Marquee select and pull these out and just straighten my shapes. Now why do you think I Marquee select? I'll tell you why, because if I just click and select, there's another one behind it, of course, so you need to move them both at the same time or it's going to get messy. Okay, that's looking kind of good. Just make sure my recording tools are all working the way they should, and I'm going to go in here and just click another swift loop and then right click to come straight out again. And there we go, I can just start doing some very minor tweaks like that. Now in here, that one looks okay, but I want it a bit smoother at the front. Now the good thing is that it won't be kind of really smooth in a sailing ship, because because a sailing boat is made out of planks. So what that means for us is that we're going to have some nice straight edges. Okay, let's put another one in just here, and I'm going to move that out like that. Okay, so we've gained this kind of shape here. Oh Chris, you're saying to me, you beautiful pirate, this is only a very kind of thin piece of box. What's he going to do? Is he going to use it as a ski? No, no he isn't. What we're going to do now, my lovelies, is we're going to change this into a boat. How shall we do that then? Well, first things first, we want this because when they make boats they have this big strong beam going down the middle here. So what I'm going to use is a swift loop, and I'm going to cut it like this so that it gives extra polygons. There we go. And then I'm going to do it again. A swift loop, but I want it to go accurately down the middle. If I use a swift loop, it might not be very accurate. It might not be exactly halfway. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to select by edge, and then I'm going to click ring, and that'll select all of them like that. And then I'm going to select bridge. No, I'm not. What am I doing? I mean, I'm going to select, click ring. I'm going to select connect. There we go, and that'll get it exactly down the middle there. Okay. Right, now that I've done that, what I need to do is go into my top view, because I am going to delete half of our beautiful boat. So I'll select that half there and click delete, and then I press P to go back to my perspective view, and there we go, half of it is now gone. Gasp. Now what am I going to do? Well, let me show you. I am going to get these selected. So all I'm doing is I'm selecting one, and then holding Control and selecting the rest. Okay, it's very easy. It is like that. Okay, well that's good, I suppose. But how are we going to make it look like a ship? Well, depending on the 3D application you're using, there's a couple of options. One, we can extrude it. Okay, and then once we've extruded it, I can rotate it 90 degrees, and then I can take the move tool and move that just up to there so it's in the right place, and then we can kind of tweak it around using that. Okay, so that's what you do if you don't have a hinge from edge. People who know me and know my teaching methods also know that you can use the hinge from edge method, which also gives you a nice clean result. But I'm going to use this. Okay, we've done it like this now, so we may as well just come in and use that. So all I've done is just gone straight along the edge there, okay, and rotated it after I did the extrude. Now what you'll notice is that we have quite a sharp looking half boat, and I do say half boat here. Now I'm going to bring this out a little bit Why am I doing that? Because we need a little bit, just a little bit of space here. Okay, just for that polygon and that polygon there. Okay, and something you're going to notice is that we have a little bit of just extra stuff going on here that maybe we don't need. So I'm going to delete some polygons. That one, and that one. Okay, and I'm going to delete that one and that one. You notice I just press delete and that one. Now, if your application doesn't let you do this, okay, just press F1, click help, and look for delete polygons. Okay, that's all there is to it. Right, with that done, now what I'm going to do is I am going to select here, use my swift loop, and here, use my swift loop. Okay, now I've only got one selected, you can see it's all red, so I'm going to hold control and just double click here. And then I can just pull them out and start angling. Okay, just angling my boat. Now over here, this is far too much of an angle, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring this up and start flattening a bit, see? And then it starts pulling in, which makes more sense to us. Very easy, isn't it? Okay. Now, I've deleted the end polygons, as you know. I don't really need our little man here, okay, because I know it's kind of the right size. So I'm just going to delete him, so I just selected him and got rid of. And now, if I go back over to here, I can start putting my polygons back in. So, I'm going to get rid of this tag. And over here, I'm going to get rid of this other tag. Okay. And then what I'm going to do is just select by edge. I've got none selected. I'm going to click bridge so that it's highlighted. I'm going to click here, and a little dotted line appears, so I can click here, and I can start making new polygons like this. Okay. Now again, if your 3D application isn't the same as mine, just do a help and look up bridging polygons, and you will almost certainly find it. It's a fundamental part of most 3D polygon modeling applications. Even Houdini with its confusing node-based stuff. And many props to all my Houdini friends. Right then. There we go, we've filled in the gaps, and now you can see we've got this kind of half boat going on here, yeah? Now, if I do a swift loop now, you'll see, okay, that the loop comes into here, and that's fine. I kind of want that. Now, what I don't want, okay, is to have too many parts at the front selected. I need the shape at the side, but not much else. So, if I turn it this way, or go into this viewport, whichever's easiest for you, I'm going to select, okay, so, oops, Control Z, there we go. I'm going to select these vertices and just pull them out a little bit, just to make it a little bit rounder, just like that. Okay, I think I should probably select this one as well. There we are. Okay, and then if I swift loop in here, what we can do is just select these, and I can move it like that. And all I'm doing is just adjusting the shape of our little boat. Now the back needs to come out a little bit more on point, and if you look, we've got this nasty little shape here which is a little bit too pointy for my liking. So I'm going to move this in by selecting this and just pushing it like that. And now what I can do is I can use a function. Now, deform functions are common in loads and loads of 3D software. Very easy to use in 3D Studio Max. And again, if you're not sure how to do deforms and your application doesn't immediately throw up a deform app, okay, just look it up. But I'm just clicking this little arrow here in my edit box. I'm going to FFD 4x4. and I want 4x4 because it'll give me lots and lots of control. Now if I go to the back here, and I'm just going to click there and go to control points, and I can just start pulling out these and just give it a little bit more shape like that. And then at the sides and front, let's just see how it comes out here. So I'm just looking at it from the top, and I think I could do with a few more polygons in before I do that. So I'm going to go right click, convert to editable poly, or I could stick an edit poly just on top of it and edit it that way if I wanted to. Okay, so the choice is entirely up to you, but I am going to stick a few more of these in just so I can get some nice shape. Okay, and then I'm going to stick another FFD on top, another 4x4x4, and now, because I've got enough polygons to do this, I can start deforming it a bit. So I'll go to my control points. I'm going to go to my second, not my first. So if I go to my first, okay, I might warp it a bit too much. So I'm going to go to my second control point. Just bring that out a little bit like that. There, a little bit more like that. And it just flutes it, okay? Same here. Like that. And maybe just bring this in a little bit and it'll just change that edge there. Okay, and what I can do is I can just add another edit poly over the top if I want, or I can collapse the entire mesh if that's the way I feel. I'm not going to collapse the mesh. I think what I'm going to do instead is I'm going to click this little arrow and I am going to stick on an symmetry. So if I go down here and find the letter S, these are all really common functions, remember? There's the symmetry tool. Now, all it's done is made our ship look weird, our boat look weird, hasn't it? That's because we're not mirroring the correct axis yet. We need to find the right one, which is Y, but we also need to flip it. And then suddenly, things are starting to look a bit more boaty, I think you'll agree. A little bit wide, but that's okay, we'll fix that in just a moment. I like how this is looking. So now, I'm going to collapse it. Right click, convert. If you don't want to collapse your stack, you don't have to, and you can also collapse your stack just by going over here and collapsing all like that, okay? So it's entirely up to you how you want to do it. Now I am going to press the scale key, which of course is R in 3ds Max and in most applications, and I'm just going to scale it in like that, just on one axis. Okay, just to make this a bit thinner. Yep, it's looking okay. Now, because I've scaled it in on only one axis, we have something called a what do you call it? We have basically some scaling problems because 3ds Max doesn't store the fact that we've scaled it if we were to export it or if we were to add parts to it or anything like that. So what I need to do is just go over here and I need to reset my transforms. Okay, just reset selected, right click, convert to editable poly, or I can go over here, press X, and at the bottom you'll see transform, X form, and I can right click using there, okay, and it just resets all my transforms so that 3D Studio Max knows that this is the model I'm wanting to be working with. All its vertices are in this position now. It's like almost like a finalized piece, right? Good. Okay then, now we need to do some interesting bits, okay? We have this nice piece here running all the way through, as you can see, so let's do some work on that. First though, I want to get rid of this middle edge because we don't really need it. So I'm just going to double click it, hold down Control and press backspace, and that deletes it without deleting the polygons, which is important. Next I'm going to select these, okay? So remember what I said, I just clicked on one and then I'm holding Control and clicking the rest. Like this. Reason being I want to extrude these. But I need to extrude these rather than like this, because if you look, they're not going to go in any kind of sensible pattern that I want. I want to extrude them instead if I just hold the settings box and click this arrow, I'm going to do it by local normal, and then I can just adjust how much that came in by. So we have our bottom beam, which adds a bit of reinforcement to it, like that. And I'm just going to click tick. Okay. Now, if I get this edge here and this edge here, what I can do is I can just move them down, and I'm just using my artist's eye here, so I'm just seeing if this is straight. Over here I've got a little bit more work to do, as you can see. That's okay. I'm just going to click out and then reselect it so it's just this one. Just bring it down. Okay, I'm using my artist's eye again. Bring that forward a little bit, and that way we've got this nice thick piece of wood just here. Yeah. Now at the front, a little bit of reinforcement just on this. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to select these polygons just here. Okay, and as if there was some wood tacked to the front, what I'm going to do is I'm going to inset them just a little bit, and then I'm going to extrude them. Now, if you look, extruding by local normal on these, they're all over the place because each of the polygons is facing it kind of a different direction. So I'm going to have to extrude these ones just by group. So you see how they come out like that? And then I'm going to push this forward and up just a teeny bit so they're nice and straight. Oops, a daisy. We'll go back to P. Will you go away, GeForce Experience? You shouldn't even be installed. Okay, because what I want to do is get these nice and straight here. Okay, I'm going to bring them out, and then I'm going to individually just move some of these out like this and like this, and that'll give us a little prow for our ship. Yeah. Now then, this edge here is too sharp, but that's why we did an inset, which has vanished. I'm just going to do Control Z and go back to where my inset was. There it is. Just want to reselect my inset because it wasn't quite right. Control Z is your friend. Incidentally, if I make a mistake, I'm always going to show you my mistakes. Okay, extrude. That's much better. Okay, and then I'm going to bring this up just so that it's level with this edge here. Okay, and then what I can do is I can just start working on these and bringing them out. That'll come straight out like that, and you'll see how this makes a much more kind of angular prow at the front than we had, which is what I wanted. And there. Or that'd be nice. That'd be what I want. Right then. And I notice I've adjusted my death adder again. Silly thing. A silly name for a mouse, that is, isn't it? Sorry if you worked on the death adder team. I don't mean to bloat your work. Okay, now I'm going to straighten up these a little bit. So I'm going to bring this up like that, and then I'm going to select these two, and if I bring these two up, they'll move up and bring the other polygon with it. Now what I want to do is select all these bottom ones, and I'm going to show you a trick I learned some 17 years ago at least. With them all selected, I go to my scale and I scale them on the Z-axis, and YARR, they be flat, all flat at once. Then I move them so that that isn't overlapping there. Okay. Now if I look underneath, what I want to do is move some of these verts. So I'm going to get this one and this one and move them forward. Then I'm going to get this one and this one. I'm going to move them forward. Then this one and this one, and move them forward. There we go. There we are. So that gives us our little thing that we can perch our cups of tea on, or whatever it is that people perch on these. And now if I go inside it, I've got an opportunity to kind of smooth the inside a little bit. So I am going to use that. So I'm going to click this, and I'm going to click this. See these two edges? So all I did was I clicked one, held down Control, double clicked, okay, and you can see it selected all of that. And then I did the same again over here, just double clicked, okay, and all it's done is select these edges on the inside. Now what I want to do is just check, so I'm going to do this chamfer, and I'm just going to chamfer it so they're about this far apart. Just look underneath, make sure that's okay, and it is, so that's good. And now I'm going to just click, and I'm just going to double click here, and then holding Control I'm double clicking here, and I'm going to get my chamfer again. I'm going to bring that nice and wide like this, and that's the term I always use with a chamfer. I say I'm bringing it nice and wide. Okay, now it's created some more polygons, but it's also smoothed the inside. Now on the outside, what I'm going to do is make sure chamfer's turned off, and I'm double click here. Now I don't want to mess up the outside of my model, okay, which I'm in danger of doing, because if I add lots and lots of new edges to it like that and chamfer, we end up with polygons that have too many edges, way more than 4, and that's no good to us. Okay, so be very careful. I think I'm going to keep that the way it was. Now then, I'm not going to put a rudder in yet, okay, because we're just about finished with making the very, very basic boat shape. But I just want to have a look at the structure down the inside and see if there's anywhere where I can put just some extra detailing in yet. I'll just press my death adder button again. It sounds like something out of Harry Potter, doesn't it? So I'm going to double click there, and double click there. Okay, and this is going to give me some cross joists, I think. Actually, I think it's more likely it would be there and here. Okay. Now, what I need to do is just chamfer, and I'm not going to chamfer it much, maybe about that much. Okay. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a little bit of extruding, but I'm going to do some selective extruding. So I'm going to extrude here, here, and here, and notice I'm just holding Control while I select these. You'll notice I've left some gaps. It's not because I've gone mad, even though I can do that to a pirate. It's because I need to select these pieces. Okay, now I'm going to extrude them just a little bit like that, okay? And that'll give us these nice big logs. Well, planks, you know what I mean, same thing, planks. Now, what I'm going to do next is I'm going to come all the way in using my zoom tool if I can, and I'm going to just select here, okay, and then I'm going to select that one and the other one. So that one, okay, and bridge. And what it does is it fills in the gap between there and there, here and here. Okay, let's do it again. Bridge. Here and here. Bridge. And then up here and here. Oops. Bridge. Okay. Look at that. Only 30 minutes has passed. In the fundamentals you learn how to make a box. And then in part 1 of let's make a seagoing vessel, you've learned how to make a boat. Okay, that's why, yes, the fundamentals are important, but so is making something you enjoy. Bridge. Bridge. And let's do it over here as well. Okay. And in here. There we go. Bridge. Now, there is a little bit of tidy up I need to do on this. Can you see where it is? I sincerely hope you can. That's correct. It is these little lumps just here. So I'm going to come in and I'm going to select by vertex and just do a marquee select, and I'm going to push them down just until they're level with the top of me boat. Top of me boat, yar. Then I'm going to do it again here. Just get them level with the top of your boat. Top of your boat. YARR. There we go. Perspective and zoom. Okay, that's not bad. Now, one last thing that I want to do then is I'm going to drop on another FFD. Okay, which is our deform. Can't do it unless I've selected the boat, unfortunately. Here we go. FFD 3x3x3, and I'm going to open that up, control points, and just select these ones. And I'm just going to increase the width of that, decrease the width of that, and I think I'm going to taper it a bit, so I'm going to bring this a little bit more this way, and then make it a bit pointier by just pulling that like that. There we go. Let's see how that looks. Nice. And then I'm going to just bring that in and down, okay, because that's kind of the shape that we'll be getting. Right click, convert to editable poly, and I'm going to call it not a box ship. Well, it's not even a ship, is it? Boat 1. And that's a special shout out there to my friend Master Zap Anderson, rendering maestro, who noted that I very rarely remember to rename my models. So that's been 30 minutes of fun and excitement, mateys, and we have made ourselves the basic outside of our boat. Now what I'm going to do is I am going to save this. So save as. There's my save as button. There it is. I'll just wait for my save as function to appear. It's going to take a while. Okay, and I'm going to save this over to my CG Pirates new folder, and this is my boat asset. Okay, and in here I'm going to call it 1_boat asset _basic. And I use underscores because it's a lot easier to get them into game engines if you don't use spaces. And that's it. So I shall see you in the very, very next lesson. Or not if you don't watch it. But until then, you have yourself a fantastic CG Pirates day. And remember, Captain Blue loves you. We all love you. See you later on. Bye bye for now.